You got that? You.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our special edition of our Zoom. We have a great lineup for you. We have three incredible doctors that are going to be sharing from their heart. And then we have a couple testimonies that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you tonight. My name is Christy Chapman, and I live in Arizona, the Phoenix area, and I'm a presidential director with this beautiful company called LifeWave. And I've been with the company for a little over 3 years. And I started my journey not looking for anything, but the patches found me because I hurt my foot and I was in pain. And that's how a lot of people come into our company, is because of maybe some pain, chronic pain, acute pain. And I put the stem cell patch X39 right on my foot. And within hours, my foot felt better. And I thought to myself, okay, I know people that need this technology. I know people that would love age reversal. I'm in my 50s. And so I took a deeper dive and I fell in love with this company. I fell in love with our CEO, the scientist and the founder, David Schmidt. And I decided to start sharing. And then 4 months later, I realized why I was truly here with this company. It's because my son, which was 18 going on 19, got in a horrible motorcycle accident and we almost lost him. And between God and the patches and this technology, it literally saved his life. And now I'm eternally grateful and I will be patching it forward for the rest of my life. So thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for allowing us to share from our heart and from our mind. The doctors are going to share some incredible things. So appreciate you being here. And if you're a guest, please reach out to the person that invited you and thank them for inviting you into this beautiful community called LifeWave, because it truly is something special here. And we just want to shout it from the rooftops and have all of you in this community with us. I'm going to put out a little disclaimer. So the doctors that are on here, they're not your medical doctors, and we are not making any medical claims or saying that we're going to treat or cure anything. However, you're going to hear some great information that is for information only. And if you have any questions throughout the Zoom, please put them in the chat. We'd be happy to get to as many questions as we can at the end
Brandon.
after the testimonies. So first guest I get to introduce is Dr. John Harmon. He's married to Carla. He's a father of 8 children of his own, 2 stepchildren, and 27 grandkids. Wow, he's busy. He has a Bachelor of Science in Human Biology at University of Utah, a doctor in chiropractic degree at LA College of Chiropractic. He is board certified neurofeedback and quantitative EEG. He has IASIS certification practitioner, member of IASIS technology board, author of 2 incredible books on longevity and age reversal. Also keynote speaker at Energy Healing Conference in Utah and Idaho. And he's the president and founder of Clear Mind Idaho. He speaks German and so much more. So you're going to learn a lot from Dr. Harmon. Thank you so much for being on with us. And we just would love to hear your LifeWave story and your testimony.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Wait a minute. Do I have 27 kids? Oh my, no,
27
grandkids.
Grandkids. Did I say 27?
No, I'm
kids?
just teasing.
20. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be a lot. It's already,
yes.
It's wonderful chaos, let's say, at times.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I look at it like, I try to see well, there are lots of silver linings in that, but I try to look at even deeper, like, I'll never be lonely. Cool.
Oh, never. Never.
So you asked about my LifeWave journey, and that started about 4.5 years ago. In April of 2020, a friend of mine texted me, this is right when the whole quarantine business started, and he asked me what I knew about stem cells. And I said, well, I've had stem cell injections in both of my knees. They helped a little bit. They got me out of a brace. Why? And he said, what if you could elevate your own stem cells by wearing a little thing like a Band-Aid patch? And I instantly went into, brain short circuiting. What are you talking about? And then I found more information about it and started using them back then in that March, April 2020 troublesome time. We were shamed into closing, and I thought, you know what? I want it when if my grandkids say, "Grandpa, what did you do when that quarantine thing started?" Well, I started a business that turned into something really great and big. And instead of, yeah, we had to shut my clinic and kind of a sob story. So I went to work. Um, I wasn't someone who noticed something right away. And I had a knee replacement surgery coming up in August. So I started in April. About 4.5 months, it's about July, I should say. Is that 4 months? But um, the PVCs I had in my heart got really weird and regular, whereas before they were just kind of random. Sometimes I had them, sometimes I didn't. But I noticed them way back in high school. I was a long distance runner. They didn't bother me when I'd run, but at rest, it seemed like my heart was just jumping around sometimes. But they got really regular after I'd been using this patch for about 4 or 4.5 months. And I thought, man, I got this knee replacement surgery coming up. I need to go to a cardiologist and find out what's going on. So I had the first of two stress echoes done, echocardiograms. And the cardiologist came in and he said, you have these PVCs and a right bundle branch block. And I said, well, what causes that? He said, well, in our whole body, cells get old and our body kills off 50 to 70 billion cells a day because they're old. The same is true in the heart. And he said, you just can't replace them fast enough in the heart because it's beating all the time. And I went, oh my gosh. I thought the light went on for me, and I have no proof of this, but my theory was I had been increasing my cell production, stem cell production for 4.5 months. Now I had enough of them to do something, and it was starting to replace them, and they hadn't gotten the rhythm right yet. And 2 weeks later, the PVCs were gone. A year and a half later, I had the second of two stress echoes done, and the report came back, right bundle branch block no longer present. It was at that time that I really started to ask questions about how did this happen? Because two different doctors have said they've never seen one go away. So that's when I started digging into the research, and that was after going through that, all of the papers and things, and I thought, you know what, somebody needs to put this in a book because that was not the easiest thing I've ever done. So that's when I wrote a book, How to Reverse Aging. And the thought was this: there are different ways of getting GHK copper peptide. My friend, Dr. Michael Karlfeldt, wrote the book, A Better Way to Treat Cancer. He's right down the street. We used to be in the same clinic. And he uses GHK copper peptide in his anti-cancer protocols because they have anti-cancer properties, the peptide does. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to tell the story. How do you get these peptides? Well, you can get them in an infusion. You can get them in an injection. You can get them in a cream or lotion from a dermatologist, or you can simply use this innovative phototherapy patch that signals your body to make your own GHK copper peptide. So that's what's in the book. Um, I I think you said that ask what, oh, somebody's holding it up. Renata is. Um, I just actually released the second edition. I did a little bit of consolidating, basically the same book. But if you order it now, if people ordering it now get the second edition. Um, so I think you also asked me to explain, what I do, what my practice is, or at least in the email that I got. No?
Yes, go
Yes?
ahead.
Okay. So briefly, I had a chiropractic practice for 2.5 years, 22 years. Um, and we had some pretty, I don't know a better word, terrible things happen in my family that caused my daughters and my granddaughters to have anxiety and depression. And I was trying to find things to fix their brains, and prescriptions and drugs weren't working. So I went on a journey to try to find things that help people with brain issues. And that's when I started Clearmind Idaho, went and got board certified. And then we help people who have brain issues. which is significant to tell you that because we use X39 as a part of our protocols because of the results of the brain study that were done, the brain study that was done. And they did 3 different brain maps to start, then halfway through, and at the end of a 6-week period. And they found that it actually helped in at least one of the measurements that we look at in a brain map, and that was the measurement of coherence. So the more hypercoherence one has, the more autistic we are, and the more hypocoherence one has, the more into cognitive decline we are. Every single person in the study, it lowered their hypercoherence and it raised their hypocoherence. So that's part of our protocol in my office, is using the X39. Are
Well,
any
I
other questions you
absolutely
want me to
love
answer while I've got the floor? Because I
that.
could talk for hours about this stuff. I love talking about it.
Yeah. So why don't you share? Can you share like maybe a story or two of some people that you've helped with
Yeah.
X39?
Early on, since I didn't notice anything, and I want to kind of address that a little bit. My personal opinion is I think we as human beings get more benefit from the patch from things or for things that we don't even know we have. How does one experience or measure the fact that your cardiovascular system, all of your vessels are getting stronger and more flexible? How do you measure that? How does one measure your bone density restoring? How does one measure, your genes being repaired? How does one measure your genes being protected? All of those things. But the things that we can measure, that's really great because sometimes it happens really quickly. And within the first few weeks of when I started sharing this with people, there's a woman who was a nurse for 22 years and she had to retire because she had MS. And these are the words she told me. And I looked at her like, what? Because I didn't really know much about the patches. I just was excited. They elevated stem cells. She said, after 5 days, I was doing wall squats and walking without my walker. And I looked at her and I said, I know you, Deb. You're not going to make it. No, I will not making it up. So that made a huge impression on me. And then this couple came in and they were bringing the wife in for anxiety, severe anxiety and PTSD. But I noticed that her husband was moving really slowly and he's not really that old. So I started chatting with him and he said, yeah, I've been diagnosed with ALS type symptoms from the Navy. 4 of my discs are super thin. I'm taking 8 to 10 oxycodone a day. I'm on $1,100 worth of prescription drugs. And so I said, we need to talk. So he started on the X39, and 10 days later, he ran through our parking lot to show me. Last summer, he called me to thank me. He takes no prescription drugs. He's fully employed. He has no pain. It changed his life. You can actually see his story or watch his story, a video on whathaveyouheard.com. It's Scott Allen. And he said, I'll talk to anybody who wants to talk to me. So his story was one of the patching podcasts that you can watch. I think he's the 6th out of 9 down there, Scott Allen. So those made a huge impression on me. So I used other people's testimonials because I didn't have any yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so mine didn't come until, my big one was with the heart. The hill that I used to, man, my heart used to feel like it was pounding out of my chest when we would walk up the hill when we go for a walk. The hill's behind our neighborhood. Now I run up the hill. I'm 70. That is
Oh, wow.
meaningful to me, my wife, my kids, my grandkids, that grandpa, is not just going to live longer, but still has his vitality and his vigor. And, it doesn't have to be that slow slide into frailty and disability. And I don't have enough energy to make my lunch. I'm
Yeah.
only 65. I don't know what's going to end up. But so my big message, I think, to your listeners would be patient with your stem cells. You don't know
Yes.
where they're going to go. And it
Yeah.
might be something you don't notice. And you might quit before you get the miracle. Just know if somebody elevates their stem cells, this is why people travel all over the world and spend 10 grand, 5 grand, 20 grand for stem cells, because it changes the outcome. So if you can elevate your stem cells for $3.33 a day, it's going to change the outcome potentially of anything that you have.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Harmon. I love hearing your testimony and I appreciate it. Where can we find your book real quick?
Um, I have this, it depends on if they want it autographed. If they just want it off of Amazon,
Okay.
it, could I share? Oh yeah, I am. Okay, cool. Um, I'm going to share this and then they can go, oops, all the way. This was from my presentation, How to Reverse Aging. The top things that make us fast or age faster and die younger. So they can go and they can scan
Oh,
these.
okay.
If you scan these, um, you'll get an autograph book because this um, form goes to my office, and then
Okay.
I sign the books and then send them out rather than
Perfect.
coming from Amazon because
Okay.
I can't autograph those. It comes directly
Yeah.
from Amazon.
Sure.
So
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for your time. And
you're
hang
welcome.
tight. We have some great stories, so you might want to stick around.
Oh, I'm sticking around.
Yeah, good, good. Alicia, I heard your story and wow, I am looking forward to you sharing with the listeners tonight. Please share your amazing story with us.
Well, what's super exciting is I feel like Dr. John just threw out the science a little bit, and now here comes my story that's going to back it all up. So
Yes.
it's a very cool synergy tonight that we have. So my name is Alicia. I'm 53, and in 2014, I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So at that time, I thought really healthy. I was on top of my game. I was on no pharmaceuticals. I did my greens powder and my nutraceuticals every day and didn't have any idea anything was going on in my body. But after returning from a trip to Thailand, that I was in Thailand for about a month working with some human trafficking education and awareness, I came home and just couldn't get better. I felt like I had jet lag. And when I went to the doctor, my doctors immediately, he was a DO, he was fantastic, sprang to action because he thought I had picked up something in the environment that I was in Thailand. Well, in 3 days, I was diagnosed. Just completely shook our family and myself to the core. And I just did one thing that I wanted to share with you right now. If you don't do anything else tonight, number one, I want you to patch. Number two, if you or a family member is ever diagnosed with the big C, what you really, 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 really need to do is be careful not to put what I call the white coat blinders on. And the white coat blinders are those because you're so numb and you're so scared and you're so overwhelmed of what you just heard that you just nod to whatever is said with the guy with the white coat in front of you. And I made the decision to do my research. I made the decision to step back because it was a Friday that I was diagnosed. They wanted me back at the hospital on Tuesday to put a port in to start a poison in my body the following week after that. And I said, whoo, can we hold off on that just a little bit? Now, I was not into holistic healing. I was not into any really type of work like this that we're in now whatsoever. I worked at a bridal shop and like to, do supplements. I'm not a doctor, you guys. But I said, I really, really, really want to investigate this. I really want to dig. I really want to Google. And the one thing doctors tell you to do is don't go home and start Googling. Well, I did. And I started researching. I even worked with Dr. Stan, that you're going to hear from in just a little bit, with some, nutrition. And we went the whole summer. We went 4 months researching, my family. And I met with a Dr. Stacy Holwiger in Sarasota, Florida. And she recommended stem cell therapy to me. And this is 10 years ago, you guys. And she was doing a lot of stem cell therapy with her daughter, Taylor, at that time. And I got real excited because it made sense to me. Stem cell therapy made sense. And this is 10 years ago. I was going to have to go to Mexico, and I was going to have injections, 4 treatments at $25,000 per treatment. Now let's add that up. 4 treatments at $25,000. It was going to be $100K for me to have this treatment. Guys, it wasn't possible. I just told you I worked at a bridal shop. You know, that wasn't happening. So I had to tuck tail and go, and I started a traditional round of chemotherapy in September of 2014. And after 6 treatments, my doctor brought me in and said, Alicia, it's so strong and you're so weak, we can't continue. You're going to slide into a coma sometime, and we're not going to be able to pull you back out during your treatment. So we made the decision to stop the treatment. And he said to me at that time, you'll be in my office every 3 months for the rest of your life. Forever, how much longer we have you here, you'll just be in my office every 3 months. We just want to maintain you, okay? But we'll come in and we'll have your blood work and your CTs every 3 months. That was my life, and that's what I understood. Until Dr. Stacy and Laura Balzer, my dear friend, went and met with David Schmidt, the owner and inventor of this incredible little miracle sticker patch, in 2021. They met with David, and the next day they called me. Now, I hadn't seen Stacy in 10 years. You guys, talk about divine appointments. You're probably here tonight because of a divine appointment. But they called me the next day and said, we have something that we think you need to try. Talked a little bit about it. Of course, I'm a researcher. I call myself, I am a doctor too. I'm a Dr. Google. You know, you can look at anything on there. But anyway, I researched for about 24 hours. And the next day I ordered Eon and X39, 2 patches. And I got those. That was the longest week of my life. Like, I couldn't wait to get them on my body. And I put them right here on the back of my neck, you know, where that, she said, just put it on that little bony part in the morning, put it by your toothbrush, stick them on in the morning, take them off and throw them away at night. So that's what I did. That's what I did. That's what I did. Now, I didn't feel anything. Nothing was like buzzing or happening, or, you know, I didn't feel energized immediately. But what I did feel is after 3 days, I slept through the night for the first time in years. And I had spent thousands of dollars on sleep aids and pillows and sound machines and teas and potions and lotions, the whole thing. And in 3 nights of patching with X39 and Eon, I slept through the night for the first time. I just kind of dismissed it, but I was like, maybe I'm tired, you know, but then I was like, maybe it's the patches. And then after about 21 days, and the chiropractors on here do not want to hear this, but I woke up and my lower back pain was gone. I'm talking diminished. I'm talking it's never returned. And I've been patching for 3 years, and I had spent thousands on chiropractic care. And guys, I woke up and the back pain that just was, it hurt to get in and out of a car. You know, that lower back pain where you're like scooting around like an old lady. And I was 40, And I was 50 at that time. And it didn't hurt anymore. And so I called Laura at that time and I said, is there any chance, is there any possibility that this patch is helping me sleep through the night and my lower back pain is gone? And she went, oh, absolutely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I went, if nothing else, I don't know what's happening on the inside, but I'm sleeping and I don't hurt anymore. I'm sold on these patches. But now here's the real deal. Because I had that scheduled appointment every 3 months, I had a scheduled appointment. And I went in, I had my CT and my blood work, July 15th, 2021. I'd been patching at that time, and I went back and looked at the dates for 43 days. And after 43 days of patching, every single marker on my scans, the pathology, noted improvement, noted reduction of disease, noted improvement. Every single one of my scan reports, every bit of my blood work had improved. Every single level had improved in 43 days of X39 and Eon. Now, we were blown away. Like, it was unbelievable. And then this is what my doctor says to me. He's this big, beautiful man. He throws back his arms and he said, Alicia, he's from Africa, so he has this great accent. He said, Alicia, I don't know what you're doing. I don't want to know what you're doing, but don't stop. And I'll see you in a year. For 7 years, I had been seeing that man for every 3 months. Now, I felt like we were breaking up, but that was okay because I'll tell you this, every time I walked in his office 4 times a year, it was $375. My copay was $375 for the specialty oncologist. So the patching was paying off both physically and financially at this point because I wasn't paying those copays anymore, plus a CT scan. I mean, it was just unbelievable. He gave me a 1-year clear. It was very exciting. And if you throw that picture back up there again, I think there's a 6-month view. There's a photo that you can see. Yeah, so that was May of 2021. That was Memorial Day weekend, and then that was Christmas. And you can see in the first 2 photos the drastic difference that took place. Guys, sadly, the scale did not show I didn't lose a single pound, but I want you to notice the noticeable difference in the amount of inflammation in my face. People started noticing. I mean, and guys, if you are having that going on the outside, imagine what's going on the inside. And then you can see 3 years later, this past May, what all has happened. But exciting, every year I've gone back until so I've been patching for 3 years, and he gave me a full clear that I don't even have to come back anymore except for just blood work once a year. And I got staged down. We're going for NED, and if you don't know what NED is in those terms, is no evidence of disease. I have gone from stage 4 on my report to stage 3, and if you ask anybody in the medical community with Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's lymphomas, that doesn't happen, and I have it on my medical report. I went from stage 4 to stage 3 as a 53-year-old woman, and that doesn't happen unless you have the right tools. And guys, we have the right tools, and it just keeps getting better and better every year. And I can talk more because there's so much more to share, but I want to hear everybody else's too. So
Wow, thank you so much, Alicia. I'm like in tears over here, and wow, wait until the water, right? And you're gonna get that. What is it called? What's it called?
NED is no evidence.
NED is coming your way, girlfriend. I can't wait.
So we were in Punta Cana and we started talking about the water, and I was sitting next to Dr. Stan's wife, Jody, and Jody and Stan have been with me with the journey the whole time. And I looked over at her and she smiled at me when we were talking about the water, and tears just poured out of my eyes because I said, I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. You know, even the patches, I know it's going to happen. And in that time, in this 3 years that I should not even have been here because they gave me a 5 to 8 year lifespan at first diagnosis, and we're at 10 years. You know, I've gotten married. I've had 2 granddaughters, and none of that would have happened without these patches. None of that would have happened.
God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing.
I call them a miracle sticker because that's what they are.
They are. Oh my gosh. Okay, now I get to introduce Dr. Stan. And I actually got to see Dr. Stan in Punta Cana. And, you know, one of my favorite things about Punta Cana is all the stories that I heard. You know, forget the free trip. It was the stories and the life-changing miracles that were happening in that resort with people with our patches. So let me go ahead and introduce Dr. Stan. Dr. Stan is certified in life science practitioner who assists people in reaching their full potential in life through education, motivation, inspiration, and edification. We all need that. Trained at several colleges, Bible colleges, earned 2 degrees, 2 diplomas, Bachelor of Theology, a master's and PhD in counseling, also certified vitalist in natural healing, Hallelujah Acres Health Minister. He's a public speaker, conducts religious ceremonies. I love this bio. And he also is an author of 2 amazing books on spiritual principles, prosperity, and so much more. Dr. Stan has been married to Jody since 1997 and has 3 children and 5 grandchildren. So Dr. Stan, thank you so much for being here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. One correction, Jody and I got married in 79. We're actually started dating 46 years ago this month.
Oh, I apologize. I
No
apologize.
problem.
Thanks for correcting me.
No problem. That's just, we've been married officially 45 years and started
Oh,
dating 46 years ago.
God bless you guys. That's amazing.
But yeah, it's a privilege to be here, an honor. We got started in health and nutrition when we were pastoring churches, because as a pastor, you're always dealing with sickness, disease, going to nursing homes, hospitals, shut-ins, holding people's hands when they're dying, when they're going through tragedy. I was in my early 30s and I was 50 plus pounds overweight. I had all kinds of no life-threatening challenges, but I used to get all the colds, the flus, the viruses, had hemorrhoids. I used to get tonsillitis every year, bronchitis every fall. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so I was dealing with sickness, we're praying for people, but I asked God for solutions. And a long story short, a neighbor of ours gave us a book, Why Christians Get Sick. And from I began to everything I could get my hands up. I got mentored by some really special people over the years, some doctors and PhDs. Jack LaLanne, I got to correspond and train with him. So I was very privileged because I was hungry for information, went back and got my certifications, in health, nutrition, life science, herbalist, all these things, because I was hungry to not only be able to help myself, but to help other people overcome sickness and disease. And so you fast forward, here I'm 66 now. And when I hit the 60 mark, I noticed some things were slowing down, and I was doing everything, that you're supposed to do: health, nutrition, exercise, lifestyle, which is very key. And we, started, me and my wife, Jody, we were starting to have some problems that we just weren't able to get over, doing the standard things that we used to. And so we basically had heard about LifeWave and kind of just, let it pass us by a couple of times. But we had known Alicia, like she said, for many years now. And when we heard her report, that got our attention. And we were like, well, Jody said, do you think it would help me with my carpal tunnel? And Alicia, of course, says, well, sure, I think it will. So long story short, we both started patching. We were going to give it a try. Jody's carpal tunnel, arthritis in her hands went away during this period. She was listening to Dr. Harmon. Actually, she had had some arrhythmic problems with her heart and realized that they had stopped. During the period. We've been patching 3 years this month. I myself personally, had some blood pressure that was going up. I was trying to do everything I needed to do to keep it under control without medication. We both noticed within 2 weeks we were sleeping better through the night. We had more energy levels were coming up. Second week, my blood pressure dropped 20 points. After 3 weeks, it dropped 30 points. So I was sold. I'm like, this technology works. And, sometimes, that's one thing I love about LifeWave, about David Smith, our inventor and owner, CEO, is that he teaches people we still have to do our part. I always tell people, you can pray all you want, but you got to do your part. And so if you add your lifestyle and then add a technology like X39, which can stimulate and activate those dormant stem cells in your body, you can literally reverse time, and not just anti-age, but reverse age. Because ultimately, every sickness and disease is an aging disease. Things begin to wear out, and then they don't repair and rejuvenate like they should. So that's why it's so important to keep the stem cells active in our body. Otherwise, as we tell everybody, by the time you're 30, you're probably at 50% of stem cell activity in the body, which is why sports people, when they get in their 30s, they're starting to get old, as far as sports goes, because they get injured easier and it takes longer for them to repair. You fast forward to 60, like where I was at, that was what really got my attention. Things were slowing down, and I was having a couple of challenges I couldn't get over naturally. boom, by the time you're 60, stem cells, are just not, 0 to 30%. So it was so key to us. We got excited about it, to be able to have a technology now that we can share with people, that we can have full confidence that it's going to make a huge impact upon their life. And we're going to be answering some questions a little bit later on about things, how these patches can help people. But that's why we got excited about it. In fact, we're getting ready. I had a practice years ago, and been practicing over Zoom and internets and phone calls and things like that. And then of course, when COVID hit, many people, that was the end of a lot of businesses. But we're excited because we decided to go ahead and open up another office. So starting the first of next year, I'm going to rebirth and reopen my office, because I just feel like this technology is something that people need. And I just love working with people, in that type of situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I know we do have some questions for you later. So is it okay if I go on to Dr. J for now?
Yeah, let's go hear from Dr. J.
All right, wonderful. Well, our last doctor is Dr. J, and he is a God-loving man, excuse me, a husband, father of 3 beautiful children, and has been a chiropractor since 2000. So he has lots of experience with healing people, and he practices in Kent City. And I'm just so grateful to meet you tonight and to hear your patch story and why you're excited about this technology.
Thank you, Christy. It's nice to meet you guys too. I got lucky. My cousin is a friend of our good friend Dr. Donover Holst. She's been a friend with him for a very long time. But like a lot of practitioners, when your cousin or your patient brings you something, you don't really pay much attention to it for quite a long time. It was several months before I gave it a look. But when I did give it a small look, I looked at some things with Dr. Don in them, and then when he came to actually my cousin's house, I did go to hear him speak, and this is going to lead me right into my daughter. When I heard Dr. Don speak the first time, because the patches you're supposed to use for 12 hours, there's guaranteed 12 hours of media or action in the patch, but you're supposed to take it off. But Dr. Don said you could take the patch off. Instead of throwing it away, you can put it on your dog's collar or your cat's collar or things like that. And I thought to myself, well, if there's any life left in it, I'm going to give it to my daughter. She's special needs. At the age of about 3 months, she started having seizures. She's got a couple brain parts missing. She doesn't walk, doesn't talk. Anyway, her 4th anti-seizure medication had really thrown her for a loop 2 months prior. I mean, the seizures maybe decreased a little bit, but it really ruined her sleep cycle. She had been going to bed normally, sleeping through the night, 7-year-old girl. But that 4th anti-seizure medication made her like a newborn again. We'd put her in bed, and then 2 hours later, when I'm ready to go to bed, she'd be ready to party. So she was back in that, that newborn sleep cycle of go to bed for 2 hours and, whine and cry or want to play for 2 hours. So it was 2 hours of sleep, 2 hours awake, 2 hours sleep. So going back to the used patch thing, I was only patching for maybe less than a month. And I was the only one in my family doing it at that point, just the X39, the Eon, the Dynamic Duo. And I put my used ones on Jacoby because Dr. Don said there's still value there. And I grew up on a farm. I don't waste anything. Anyway, so I put my used patches on Jacoby when I would put my fresh ones on in the morning. And after just 3 days of her using my used ones, after 2.5 months of terrible night's sleep, she was sleeping through the night again. So then that kind of woke my wife up to like, hey, what are these things all about? So long short of it on Jacoby, sleeping through the night was just the beginning, because for the first 7 years of her life, she didn't really know that she had a right upper extremity. She has in her brain, Dr. John will like this, she has a schizencephaly of her left frontal lobe. She doesn't do much with her right hand and her right leg are just not active really. She doesn't have a corpus callosum. So just some of the technical things, but daily seizures. And anyway, so her seizures, okay, they're definitely less than when we started patching. But the fact that she knows that she has a right upper extremity, like I noticed this a few months back, probably 4 months ago. She's an 8-year-old kid. Hopefully there's no police on here gonna get mad at me, but she's too big for a car seat. And when you put her in a booster, she basically sits with her butt where it's supposed to be, but her head is next to her butt. She doesn't have the core strength to stay there. So I've got a couple couch cushions on the floorboard behind my truck seat, my driver's seat. So she's long, she's a big girl, she's 8 years old now. So I bring her in and I lay her on the floor behind my seat, and that way I can mess with her and play with her while I'm driving and things like that. But I was doing that about 4 months ago, and I had my hand back there just kind of playing with her, and she grabbed my hand back, and I thought it was her right hand. So I started messing around and trying to feel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's her thumb. This is her right hand. And she hadn't done that before. She hadn't grabbed back. So that was pretty awesome. I've got a couple other really amazing stories from because I treat like 25 to 50 people a day. And basically what I do for a living is I wrestle 25 to 50 people. And that makes my shoulders, I mean, I'm 180 pounds at best. I wish I would have spent a lot more time in the gym to get that V, but I never did. So anyway, long short of it is, for the past 5 years, my shoulders have ached quite a bit. I've been practicing for 24 years ish. And so, just wear and tear on my upper extremity joints is pretty, it's there. So after 3 months of my self-patching, my shoulder pain faded away and it has not returned. So that's pretty wonderful. Another wonderful just a patient story I have, a guy that's my age, 52. Actually, he's a little bit older. But he'd been seeing me for his chiropractic adjustments, head, neck, back stuff. And he had mentioned because I got him patched, and if you're walking into my office, eventually you're going to find out about these patches. I tell everybody about them because I think they're helping so many people in so many different ways. It's a very valuable tool. It's the most valuable tool I've ever added to my toolbox, for my self-care, my family care, and my patient care, just alike. But anyway, this young guy, he had a 20-year-old wrist injury. It was crushed, and they wanted to put a metal plate in it. He didn't want them to do that, so they didn't. But for the last 20 years, I don't know if you can see my hand, but this is all he could really do. He could squeeze his hand like that. If he needed to hold on to a broom, he could do it. He could ride a motorcycle, so that's cool. But he wasn't going to be able to turn a screwdriver. It didn't have that wrist motion like a normal motion. He could basically just squeeze his hand. Good, no flexion, no extension. And after just 2 or 3 months of using the patches, he put his hand up against the wall, like his fist up against the wall to lean on it, and his wrist extended. And this is a 20-year crushed injury. He never talked to me about it because that's a lost cause. As injuries go, the older they are, it's going to just calcify and get stiff, and it's not going to be mobile. And so he immediately, this is kind of funny about him. He's a physically fit guy. When he found out his wrist could extend, he immediately jumped on the floor and did a whole bunch of push-ups, because for the past 20 years, his push-ups would be like this. One side was a fist and the other side was the hand. So he went like that. He's like, look, babe, look what I can do. A real push-up. It was kind of funny to me. But that, to me, that was probably one of the most remarkable things, because he called me. He didn't even wait till he came in. He called me. He's like, Doc, my wrist joint grew back. And I'm like, what do you mean? That's kind of crazy. So that's one of my favorites. I got 3 or 4. I'm just gonna give one more. But my dad's friend went into the Navy right out of high school. He's roughly 70 years old right now. And the ship that he was on, the whole ship got hepatitis. Okay. So 45 years ago, he contracted hepatitis. He's been watching his liver markers since then. Okay. So he was basically gradually getting towards fatty liver. And he could for the last 45 years, if he put his arm like this and went all the way back or all the way forward, he could actually make his liver hurt. He could feel his liver for 45 years. He could feel it basically, well, at least the last 10. I don't know. I shouldn't say that without knowing that for sure, but he could feel his liver before when he started patching. And he's a very, very smart guy. So when I told him what he should start with is a dynamic duo, the X39, the Eon. If you're in my office, you're going to start with those two. Okay. So, but he was very smart in plant physiology, and plant physiology is similar to animal and human physiology. So he knew what carnosine was and did. He knew what glutathione was and did. And he was really intrigued by the 49. So he didn't start with the dynamic duo. He started with all 5 of those on day 1. So in 5 months, yep, a 68, 70-year-old guy, his neck hair changed back to original color. His arms got more solid, and he wasn't working out. And the coolest thing that he told me, it was at an event. He came up to me and said, I got to share some stuff with you. But anyway, so those 2 things for sure. But then he's like, and this is the coolest thing, I cannot find my liver anymore. And that was a 45-year symptom. So those 2 testimonials along with my sweet pea, you got to share it. You can't not share it. It's just too powerful. So
Absolutely.
it is my, like I said, I've been approached with so many different things with family members and patients. They've all got the best thing that's hitting the market or that's going to change people's lives. And most of the time it's a nothing burger.
Yeah.
This is far from a nothing burger. This is changing lives, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. I'm glad you invited me on your Zoom. It's good to see Dr. John and Dr. Stan again. And it's nice to meet you, Christy.
Oh, thank you so much. What
And
a
Alicia,
pleasure.
sorry, Alicia, I love you. I miss you.
I love having you. I heard somebody say once, we have a moral obligation to share this with people. And I truly love the fact that we have doctors on here that are sharing with their patients, because I'm grateful that the doctors allowed Andrew, my son, to use the patches in the COVID ICU unit. Most of the time they would say no. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you. Can't wait to see you soon at a convention or Punta Mita.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. Well, let's keep moving here. So Fong, I want to introduce Fong. She is a brand partner with us, and she's the one that organized this whole thing. We're eternally grateful to her. And I know she has a couple amazing stories for you guys as well. So thank you, Fong, for putting this together, organizing the doctors and Alicia. And let's hear your story, sweetheart.
All right. Thanks, Christy. So Martha, would you please bring up my PowerPoint? And by the way, thank you so much, Dr. Harmon, Dr. Jay, and Dr. Stan.
You're welcome.
I'm smiling so much. My face is starting to hurt. I'm so happy with all these stories.
Sorry, I seem to have lost it.
That's okay. I can start talking. The first testimony I like to share with everybody is from my nephew. He started the path just shortly after I tried, back in July 2023. So early 2023, he had developed a disease that caused his hair falling off a lot. It's called alopecia. And he was on medication for several months and did not see any improvement. So I said, hey, I'm trying this. Maybe you want to try with me. So he said, okay. Then I just, get his first shipment. So the first time he put the X39 on, the first thing he feel after a week is his sleep got better. Not what he was looking for, but it was good to him because he's always struggled with sleeping. And in about 3 months into it, he noticed that his hair, Martha, if you could move to the third slide. Yeah, one more. Yeah. So you see he has a missing piece of hair in the front and the back, a couple more spots, but I didn't get to take picture at the time. So it is, I think it's a great testimony to share. And for those people who have similar condition. And beside that, there's other people who has hair growth, which you see on the same slide, but they are the people that share on the theme Freedom VIP, Living Healthy with Me VIP. To go on to the next slide is for my dad. Martha, if you can bring up the video of my dad. So my dad got a heart attack in March 2020, and he was hospitalized for a month. And he's been walked with a walker for almost 3 years. So when I started my patch in July, of course, I'm gonna want my dad to try as well, because I don't want him on a walker for the rest of his life. So now you see he's walking. He just stood up and walked without anything. And this is back in December last year. And now he's just stronger and stronger. And to me, with my dad being at 92 years old, and he got a really bad heart attack, and he's able to recover and get stronger. I don't believe without a patch, my dad can be at the condition where he is right now. Because usually with most people, when you have something happen at that age, things gonna start to go down, and it's just not going back. So I'm so grateful for X39. My dad's using X39, and occasionally when he has, you know, a cold or something, I put a glutathione, and it works on him like a magic, like next day. Okay, so moving on to my own story. So Martha, if you can bring up slide number 6. Yeah, so that was me back in March. During my vacation overseas, I got in a biggest accident in my life. You know, it may not be big for a lot of other people, but it's very big for me because I consider very healthy and I never get hurt. So I fell and I hit my chin on edge of the table, and it resulted me in the hospital that night with 10 stitches on my chin and 12 stitches inside my mouth. That was on March 4 of this year. The second picture on the top to the right is after stitches the next day. As you see, I have LifeWave patch on. I was into the patch about 6 months at that time. So consider my stem cells pretty, you know, good production there. And look at March 11, the third picture to the right. It's healed, okay? No scar, no, you know, no significant damage. So after 7 days. And then the last picture to the right is me. I was in Dubai during that time. I was on the safari, you know, in the heat and have fun, you know, just 10 days after my injury. So the bottom picture just show inside my mouth. I know inside the mouth usually heal faster, but that was what I had. And the bottom right 2 pictures, one from March 15, and the last in the corner is July. So you can see the scar is very, very minimal, and people almost, you know, don't see anything unless I point it out to them. So moving on to the last slide of my testimony is after you know, everything after March 15, okay? So I live with an indentation on my chin, even though it healed, but it still have an indentation. And if you look at the picture, you know, on April 1st, this is where, this is my condition when I was in Punta Cana, Christie, and it would bother me a lot. You know, I was even thinking do a plastic surgery to get rid of it. But many people tell me, nope, just use a patch, you know, do it every day like you have been doing, you see the improvement. So I follow that advice. April 1st, you know, you see how bad it looked. Going to May 8th, that picture was taken. You know, I tried to do the same angle, slightly different, not much. But if you look at the July 10 picture, it's almost nothing on my chin. So that is so significant improve. And I'm so grateful, for everything that we do with the patch, we share with people. Most importantly, is for my dad. I'm doing it for him because I want him to live more than 100 years old. And when he's reached 100 years old, I'm going to invite him to one of our Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, I cannot wait. That is wonderful. I love your healing story. And this is why, young or old, we need to wear our stem cell patches, right? Because you never know when an accident's going to happen too, where you need to activate those stem cells so you can get some quick healing. I love it.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, Fong, and thank you again for organizing all the doctors and the testimony. I love it. Love it. So Tony, let's move on to you. Tony, I know we birthed this idea, or you birthed this idea when we were in Dallas at convention, and look what it turned into, something so special, Tony. So I appreciate you so much. So let's hear your story.
Well, I come up with the ideas and Fong takes it and runs with it, makes it
I
happen.
love it.
So yeah,
That's
she's pretty
teamwork.
awesome. Yeah. So this is the X39 patch. I've been on it for about 16 months now. And I'm not going to go through every benefit that I had. So I'm going to share a couple of things that happened to me. But the two things that I want to, two testimonies I'll point out real quickly here, because we just have a few minutes, is my 88 and 87-year-old parents. So if I could bring up the screenshot of my dad's knee surgery. One thing that Fong mentioned was the wound healing for scars and after surgery types of events. Is the healing happens so quickly. Typically, anything like a knee surgery replacement takes weeks, months to heal. So up here in the right-hand corner is my dad. He's 87, and he had surgery back in February of 24. And as you can see, within close to 6 weeks, we had pretty good healing evidence here. So something like this may take several months. This is what I noticed in about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, so in about half the time. Because 12 weeks, I think you start to see some more wound healing, skin grafting types of results. This just amazed his PT. His orthopedic surgeon felt that his healing was much quicker than most people his age. So he was very pleased with it. This was his second surgery on the other knee. The next one is my dad's been on X39 for about close to 12 months now. And then we added Eon and Carnosine to this surgery, to this post-surgery protocol. So the next slide is my mom's been on X39 for about the same time. And the one thing that we noticed here is, X39 boosts your collagen levels quite a bit from what I've learned, is the wrinkles have tightened up, and 88-year-old mom looks more like maybe 70, 65, 70. She looks great today, and she also uses Carnosine to help her with her memory. So we put her on X39 and a Carnosine patch to help her with that. So this is just 6 months of the patch, and she's been on it for 12. She looks actually better now. And also she had a condition called AK about the same time. If you want to move on to the next screen there. She had AK for many, many months. AK is a precancerous skin condition. And she had ointment to help with the irritation, to help with the red blotches here. This is not cancer, it's precancer. We put the Eon patch, maybe for 2 weeks, and it simply disappeared. Her ointment prescription ran out. Her doctor said, "You've been on it for about 4 months, we're not going to use it." So I stuck this patch on her for about 10 days, and at the end of that 10 days, she was clear of that AK. So this was just a couple of miracles. The next one I'll show you is my own, which actually there's a couple of them. My hair has gotten a little bit darker. Back in July 2023, I had my about 75% gray in my hair. With a patch X39, I started to get darker hair. I'm actually a dark blonde person, and this has just progressed. I mean, I'm not totally dark blonde, but I have much fewer gray hairs than I did back in July of 2023. The next one, and I'm kind of moving along here quickly, is my skin condition. So this was July 2023, before I started wearing the patch. And you can see here in August, just a few months ago, the wrinkles have simply disappeared. I still have some, of course, but this is unfiltered, unedited, because I had friends ask and said, "You messed with this photo?" I did not. This is an actual photo from a social that we had back in August, and this is what kind of threw me aside, is this collagen boost really makes a difference with the X39 patch. So anyway, I am almost 60. I'm 58. Just turned 58, and I just look at this and I'm so happy I got on this patch a year and a half ago, because I think there's more to be benefited from it. So there you have it. There's my testimony. I know we're past 8 o'clock. There's been a few questions and answers that want to get your way. So
well, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. I love those stories. And definitely, if you're a guest on here, think of who you can help with these incredible stories that we heard tonight. And there's so many more. We have millions of them. So Fong, did you want to, so guests, if you're on, also brand partners, now, if you'd like to jump off, we're going to do a Q&A for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes. We have a few questions that we're going to ask Dr. Stan. By all means, if you'd like to hang out with us, we would love to have you with us, but I know it's been an hour now and we like to keep it at about an hour, but such great stories, you know, we just love hearing them all, and the hour went by so fast. And let me just throw this out here before you leave. If you like what you heard tonight, we definitely will have this on a replay. We definitely have Zooms and calls that you can learn more about. We have links that you can get from the person that invited you so that you can share and learn more and hear the incredible, you know, we have patents, we have third-party double-blind clinical trials, all the things that are on a link that you can do more, a deeper dive research, and get back to the person, again, that shared this with you to get wholesale pricing. We definitely don't want you to pay retail. We can get you the best deal on these patches, and it's less than $4 a day, like Dr. Harmon said. So Fong, would you like to share or ask Dr. Stan a couple of questions?
Yeah, Dr. Stan has a list of questions, and he's going to just go through it.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick synopsis because a lot of the questions that were sent to me to answer kind of have some overlay. But, you know, what is the best place to patch? Best place to patch is on your body. I know there's all kinds of different ways that you can patch. Good news, every patch comes with instructions that were used during the clinical trials. And so when you get your patch, just pull out the information and put it on the body. Our inventor says if you put it anywhere on the body, they're going to activate and work. Yes, are there different places you can use it in different ways? Yes. But, you know, don't get too bogged down into that. Talk to the person, you know, who's sponsored you or somebody that can direct you. Sometimes there are strategic places you can put them on, but keep it simple, folks. The patches work by putting them on the places where the clinical studies were done. As far as allergic reactions to the patch, they are non-latex. We do our very best, but some people can get irritation from the glue. It's not many people that do, but some do. The good news is that you can actually patch on top of your clothing. Once the patch, you know, comes in contact with the clothing, it is going to activate. So we know a lot of people who just literally patch on top of their clothing. If you do have some irritation from the patch, the patches are designed to be worn 12 hours on, 12 hours off. You can, some people put them on their pets at the end of the day to help them. That's perfectly fine. as far as that goes, but our inventor says the patch is designed to be worn 12 hours on, 12 hours off. You use it, throw it in the trash, and you start again the next day. And as far as applying the patch after showering, that's actually the best place to put the patch on is when your skin is clean. You don't want a patch on top of makeup and oils and lotions, potions, and these types of things. If you do have something like that on your body, you could use, some soap and water, a little alcohol or something like that to cleanse the area that you're going to put the patch on. And how long will it take for me to see results? It's different for everybody. There's no one clad answer. We call some people one patch wonders. That doesn't happen that often, but when it does, we praise God. That's a wonderful thing. But we tell people, rule of thumb, if you're 60 years old, give it at least 6 months or more. If you're 70 years old, give it 7 months. You get what I'm saying? A decade for every year you've lived is the average when you would expect to see results. And basically, when it comes to specific medical things, when people have things like specific diseases and problems in their body, I always just tell people, Dr. Jay alluded to this, start with the dynamic duo is what we always recommend. This is what most of the doctors and practitioners, we tell people start with X39 and Eon for just about anything and everything that you want to do, because you need X39. If you can't use any patch but one patch, you use X39. Eon is great to pair it up because it's anti-inflammatory. There are other support patches for organ function. Alavita and carnosine are great patches for organ function. So if you're needing to boost your organs, and have some things like eyesight and different things, you might want to consider things like carnosine and alavita to boost organ function in the body. What's in the patch? It's a non-transdermal patch. They're organic salts, amino acids, water that form a nano crystal, and it just acts as a reflection plate. Nothing goes into the body, so it's safe, it's organic, and you don't have anything to worry about it contradicting medications and things like that. Can a pregnant person use the patch? We cannot tell anyone who is pregnant or nursing that it's okay to use the patches. You need to ask your doctor. We're not your doctor. Now, do some pregnant women use it? Yes, by their own personal choice. But we cannot tell you that it's okay from a medical standpoint, but some choose to do so. And we know some people who have and have had no problems, but it's a personal choice. And we cannot tell you that it's medically approved. The shelf life is 2 years on the back of each package. There is an expiration date. If you'll just turn over on the back side, it'll have like 2026-8, which means it would expire August of 2026. So from the manufacturing date, you've got about 2 years shelf life, but the expiration date is on the back of the package itself. Can a 20-year-old use the patch? I wouldn't. There's no reason why a 20-year-old couldn't use the patch. It's kind of like most, even medications across the counter, they'll tell you 16 and above as an adult for most over-the-counter medications. We've done no clinical studies on children, so we can't tell you that it's okay to use it on children. All the clinical studies were done on adults, but again, it's a personal choice. We know many brand partners and customers who patch their children as a personal choice. I personally would, but again, if you have a medical concern, talk to your medical doctor as far as that. Can I use other types of patches other than X39 on a dog? Well, sure, I would. I mean, again, we don't have clinical studies. We can't say it's approved for animals, but most brand partners do indeed put those patches in their beds, under their collars, and have great success with doing it. Which patch would support weight loss? Again, I would always start, for bodily functions and helping the body get into balance, X39 and Eon. We do have SP6, which was designed for appetite control, which can help you with weight control. As far as that goes, that might be a patch that you would consider. If you're trying to lose weight, you might want to control your appetites and your cravings. So that is one patch that was designed to do that. Hot and humid environment, that can be a challenge. The patches, some people who are sweating profusely, can sometimes have a problem. If you do, you might want to consider patching on top of the clothes instead of on the body itself. If they start to slip and not staying on the body, you might want to consider patching on top of the clothing as far as that goes. As far as, I have some other medical questions, things like autism. Again, we can't say that there's, any patch that can help with autism, but we do know, I have personally a friend of ours whose child was autistic. They chose, he was in his 20s, and they chose to put X39 and Eon on their son, and they have had wonderful responses from it. So we can't tell you, from a medical standpoint, prescribe or diagnose or treat, or protocol. But it's amazing how when you put X39 on the body and get the inflammation out of the body, you get the stem cells working in the body will heal itself, which is really good. Sciatica pain, same thing, your body needs assistance to heal itself. Obviously, X39 and Eon would be a great place to start to help the body to rejuvenate, heal, and restore. And of course, we have our 2-patching system, LifeWave, that we've had really great success with helping people with pain management. So you might want to consider that. Somebody's just 50 years old, doesn't have any major problems. That's a good thing. But, we're always aging. I never experienced high blood pressure till I got in my 60s. And, sometimes you can go real well up to a point in time. I always tell people, don't get behind the 8 ball, get ahead of the 8 ball. If you can keep your stem cells active and working, no matter what age it is, 30, 40, 50 years old, 60, 70, or 80, prevention, is the old saying, ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Why not get your stem cells up and going and active instead of falling behind? Because there's one thing's for sure, in your 50s, I can guarantee you, your stem cell production is 50% or probably less on average. These are just averages. What would help with type 2 diabetes? Of course, again, type 2 diabetes is a medical condition. And it has to do with the pancreas basically getting more out, which has to do with organ function. So you need to be able to get your organs function again. Again, stem cell activation, getting inflammation out of the body would be very important for that. Organ function, again, we have a couple of patches specific for organ function. Carnosine, Alavita would be something. And anytime anybody has infection of any type, and if somebody's, is diagnosed with something that has itis at the end of it, that means they have inflammation and their immune system is weak. And therefore, again, our patches can't heal anyone, but X39, Eon, and glutathione would be a great place to start to assist the body to get, the stem cells active and assisting that pancreas in your body to be able to get back to a more normal, because type 2 diabetes is pretty much, it's a lifestyle disease. And if you go to the medical doctor, some of them will help you with a diet and something like that, but it is diet related. You wear your pancreas out, you need to get your lifestyle in order and assist the body to heal itself with the LifeWave technology. Yes, I'm excited. I think that was most of the 19 questions that Fawn had sent me. But, they did ask a little question about the water machine. We are jacked and really excited about our new LifeWave water machine. We're excited about it. We can't really, again, it's not a medical device and we can't make medical claims. And, when people say, this water will heal you, none of our products will heal you. Your body has to heal itself naturally. But when you give your body the tools that it needs to restore, electrical currents in the body, we are a bioelectrical, biochemical wonder. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God is light. And everything in this world is made from light. I love quantum physics. And our scientists, our quantum physicists, everybody's telling us now, if you reduce everything to nothing, you just end up with light. And so everything is about light, and our machine is designed, yes, to clean the water, but it is going to, at the final stage, our inventor, David Schmidt, has learned how to infuse the water with God's light, the light force energy of the universe. And we've went through we're in our 5th clinical study. 100% of the people who have in the clinical trials are getting results. They can, put the machines on the body, and when they drink the water, the light goes in and begins to light up the body. And when you light up the body with God's light, some wonderful things can start happening, because you're restoring that bioelectrical and biochemistry in the body to get it to function the way that it is. It's not going to be coming out till next spring, April, May. And everybody wants to know how much it's going to cost, probably somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000. But the good news is that there's water machines on the market that cost more than that, or in that ballpark, that have nothing to compare to this machine. Yes, we're going to purify the water, but David has created a way to molecularly go in and infuse light into this water. And it's going to be special. There's nothing else out on the market that's going to be like it. We've got our supplements coming out, first round AM stem cell activation nutrients for the morning, and then we'll be coming out with the PM to that. These ingredients in the supplements have been clinically proven to feed your stem cells and to help them to stay active and restore your body. So we're going to be coming out with that. We got more stuff coming down the pipe over the next 5 to 10 years. We could tell you so many more things that are coming down the pipe, but I'll cease and desist at this point, because it is 17 after, according to my clock.
Well, thank you. Dr. Stan, you did a fabulous job going through all those questions, and I know it was very helpful for a lot of people to get those answers, and you did it in rapid fire. I love it. I love it. And I'm excited about our Netflix documentary on our CEO and our founder. That is going to be incredible, just showing credibility of what our CEO is doing and creating to help heal not only humanity, but also our planet. We have lots of good things coming, right? So thank you again so much, everybody. I'm eternally grateful for the time that we spent here tonight. If you know somebody that could use this information, please patch it forward, pay it forward, share with them, bring as many people as you can into our beautiful community, because the world needs to know what we have, because I know I'm grateful that someone shared it with me. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. God bless you, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Fong. Nice to meet you, Christy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
everybody.